adventure in Spider-Man across 3 generations, the undertakings of what would become the highest-grossing Spider-Man movie to date, and the 6th highest-grossing movie of all time. The 2021 superhero film based on the comic book character by Marvel, Spider-Man, was originally intended as being the final installment in the Spider-Man trilogy, hence the term. Spider-Man No Way Home marked somewhat of a close-ended plot for the superhero and also the end of Tom Holland's contractual obligations with Marvel. However, fans aren't ready to say goodbye yet, and it seems like neither are the producers. Talks of a possible sequel to the trilogy are happening, and some rumors mixed with several confirmations over the fate of Spider-Man. Will there be a 4th Spidey movie? Will Tom Holland be cast in the lead role again? Here's everything you need to know about Spider-Man 4. Will there be a 4th Spider-Man movie? As long as Holland wants to make Spider-Man movies, we'll make Spider-Man movies. Speaking to Variety at the Spider-Man No Way Home red carpet press conference, producer Amy Pascal was asked if a possible 4th installment was in the works. While Pascal did not outwardly confirm nor deny the possibility of a 4th movie starring Holland, she did seem enthusiastic and optimistic of Peter Parker's future. No Way Home grossed $1 billion worldwide. The movie became the highest-grossing and the most well-reviewed Spider-Man movie of all time, plus the 2nd highest-grossing Marvel film to date behind Avengers Endgame and the 6th most commercially successful film of all time. What happens when you make a movie this successful? You try to ride that high. There had been talks of possibly 4 installments for both Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man series. However, neither of those films ever materialized. Sam Raimi even began writing the storyline for Maguire's Spider-Man, and Sony publicly announced a release date for the film before pulling the plug on it. What makes Holland's Spider-Man series different? To start off, Maguire and Garfield's storylines were coming to a natural end, both because of the plot and commercial success of their films. Production for a sequel to a trilogy was less practical than rebounding the franchise with a new Spider-Man, the latest of whom, Holland, actually took things in substantially different directions. For starters, Holland's character ditches the art of concealment with tightly clouded spandex and opts instead to reveal his identity to the world in the 2nd installment. Additionally, Holland is joined by both Maguire and Garfield in the 3rd installment, bringing out childhood glee. In August 2019, rumors were circulating of a possible 4th installment in Pascal and Kevin Feige's reimagining of Spider-Man alongside No Way Home. By December the same year, Feige announced that Pascal and him, along with Sony and Disney, were all in agreement on a 4th film. However, fans were still on edge. Why? Because this wouldn't be the first time Sony and Disney failed to reach a creative agreement and nearly torpedoed production. Sony versus Disney. After Tom Holland's phenomenal portrayal of Peter Parker in Spider-Man Homecoming, a 2nd and 3rd installment were deemed necessary, not only owing to Holland's relatability with the character, but also because his storyline set pace for subsequent films. It was theorized that 3 different films would be necessary to commemorate the 3 years Peter Parker spends in high school. Despite the storyline seemingly striking out at a 3rd film, Feige was willing to do a 4th film, and talks began as early as 2019. Kevin Feige is the most celebrated and well-decorated producer in the world. He has been the president of Marvel Studios and the primary producer of the Marvel Cinematic Universe franchise since 2007. Simply put, there couldn't be a Spider-Man movie without Feige's involvement. But Sony decided to swim those waters in 2019 when Sony and Disney sat down to discuss the screenplay for the 3rd installment, as well as the possibility of a 4th. The 2 production houses seemed to disagree on several aspects, none of which pertained to Spider-Man himself. For starters, Disney was obligated to sign Feige as executive producer of Spider-Man movies produced under Sony on the condition that they keep 5%. Sony agreed to those terms, but wanted the same terms reinstated for future installments. Disney refused, saying that if Feige were to continue producing more movies, the percentage would go up from 5 to 25%. Tony Vinciquerra, chairman of Sony Pictures Entertainment, released a statement that the door had closed on Spider-Man's involvement in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and would instead move forward with Sony's shared Sony Spider-Man universe. Fans were less than thrilled, to put it kindly. Vinciquerra urged that while Sony was thankful of Feige for putting them on the right path, there were several people involved in making Spider-Man and that Sony was capable of taking the character forward on its own. Yeah, fans did not like that, and apparently neither did Holland. The actor reportedly went ahead on his own to talk to Disney's CEO, Bob Iger, to see if a mutual decision could be reached. And it could. Sony later on announced that they would resume production with Disney, Feige, and added Amy Pascal. Disney was to contribute 25% towards the making of the film in exchange for 25% back from it, plus exclusive merchandising rights. However, with all the drama that went on into the making of the 3rd installment of Holland's Spider-Man, talks of a 4th film were temporarily hushed. Setting the stage for Spider-Man 4. What does it take to make a sequel? An open-ended plot that sets the stage for an upcoming film, of course. With Spider-Man Homecoming and Way Back Home, we saw Peter Parker in situations that warranted a subsequent installment, particularly in the 2nd movie when Peter Parker reveals his identity to the world. A 3rd film was necessary. Can the same be said for No Way Home? Warnings, spoilers ahead. At the end of No Way Home, Peter Parker makes the tremendous sacrifice that allows everyone to forget the identity of Spider-Man, or the existence of the superhero. He does so with the help of Doctor Strange, played by Benedict Cumberbatch, and the spell goes on without any interference this time. After everything is said and done, Pete decides to go up to MJ, played by Zendaya, and reveal his superhero alter ego to her. However, just as he's about to let her know, Ned walks in and disrupts the conversation, forcing Peter to notice MJ's plaster. This awakens his consciousness, and he cannot make his friends go through it all again. He wishes both of them luck as they get on with their lives at MIT. Remember, when production began for Spider-Man Homecoming, Holland revealed that 3 films would be necessary to commemorate 3 years of high school. What now? Well, the plot doesn't really leave much to the imagination. The multiverse is closed, the teens are moving on to bigger and better things, and Peter Parker seems comfortable with his decision. Do we need a 4th movie? Absolutely, yes. Within the multiverse, we catch a glimpse of an all-too-familiar character in the Marvel franchise, Venom. While Doctor Strange manages to close the portal just in time, it's not in time enough for us to see the character and for eagle-eyed fans to notice that a little residue is left in the real world. What does this mean? Maybe in the 4th installment of Spider-Man, we'll see more of Tom Holland and Tom Hardy battling it out to see which Tom is stronger. We can only hope so. Also, with Spider-Man seemingly deciding to conceal his identity again, effectively disbanding from the plot of the second movie, what happens next for the superhero? Will Tom Holland return for another Spider-Man installment? With his phenomenal portrayal of Peter Parker, it's hard to imagine a Spider-Man that isn't Tom Holland. Not only was the actor perhaps closest to the comic book character, but he also brought forth a new perspective to the film. Anyone can be Spider-Man. Pascal and Feige were particularly excited for Holland's continued involvement in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But is Holland on board? For someone who's been the butt of the joke for quite some time for being unable to keep secrets, Holland seems to be keeping this one fairly well hidden. The actor is routinely asked about his involvement in subsequent films, but he either dodges the questions or gives conflicting answers. Let's establish the facts first. Holland's contractual obligations ended with No Way Home. If the actor were to agree to a 4th film, he would have to sign a new contract altogether. The contract would, in all probability, oblige the actor for more than just one film. Is Holland ready for that? The 25-year-old British sensation revealed in an interview that he wouldn't want to portray Peter Parker when he's in his 30s. While fans were disappointed with the statement, they couldn't help but agree with the logic behind it. The actors don't stop aging, but Peter Parker will forever be a high schooler. In all honesty, I don't know the answer. There have been conversations about the future of Spider-Man. Whether it will be with me, I'm not too sure yet, he told The Hollywood Reporter in December. Maybe I'll be a producer or something. I don't know, but I do know that I love this character, and I would be sad to say goodbye, but I've achieved basically everything I wanted to achieve as this character. However, this isn't to say that Holland has outrightly denied any future involvement in the Spider-Man series. Speaking to Entertainment Weekly, the actor revealed that talks of a subsequent film were underway, and when questioned about his potential role in the film, he revealed that he was unsure of what the future had in store for him, but that if called upon, he would take an active role in production. Will Zendaya reprise her role as MJ in Spider-Man 4? Unfortunately, it seems like a 4th film would probably have to go ahead without Zendaya's involvement in it. This isn't because Zendaya refused involvement in subsequent films, but because the role of MJ came to a satisfying, bittersweet conclusion in Spider-Man No Way Home. However, fans were speculative of whether the character would return in a new role, Spider-Woman. The concept of there being a female lead in the series has been discussed by many people in the MCU. Even Holland addressed questions over his involvement, but redirecting them towards a possible female superhero this time around. I would love to see a future of Spider-Man that's more diverse. Maybe you have a Spider-Gwen or a Spider-Woman, he said in an interview with People. We've had 3 Spider-Mans in a row. We've all been the same. It'd be nice to see something different. But will the role of Spider-Woman ever come into being? In the animated series, Into the Spider-Verse, we do see a Spider-Woman. However, whether the role will be given to Zendaya as MJ comes Spider-Woman or not, that's still up for debate. You can never have enough of Spider-Man. The role has spanned over 2 decades, 3 actors, multiple producers, and several production houses. A 4th installment is likely in the works as we speak. Pascal and Feige seem to be pretty enthusiastic over Peter Parker's return, and maybe we'll catch a glimpse of Venom in the 4th series. Who knows? What do you think the future has in store for Spider-Man? Be sure to let us know in the comments down below.